first, I just want to thank our hosts for hosting this wonderful event and inviting me here. Very appreciated. I'm Ian MacCabe. I'm with the National University of Ireland in Galway, on the west coast of Ireland. School of Physics there. We have this National Centre for Laser Applications, where we work a lot with companies who need to use lasers for doing some part of their process. And over the years, we've seen, unfortunately, a lot of these companies come and they go. They can't seem to overcome this valley of death that we've spoken about. And typically what happens, and I think this is generally true for all startup companies that fail, is that they can't find a proper market fit for their product before they run out of money. So the cash ends and they end. So together with our partners here in Photonics Sweden and some other consortium throughout Europe, we developed this value chain analysis methodology. And what we believe it does is it helps to find a better market fit for the product. And you'll see that as we go through the process, that we take a close look at the stakeholders, and we have guidelines for how to spot gaps and perhaps opportunities also. So it really helps to differentiate the company who uses it at the start before they begin this process of developing their product. So this is really positioned for a company that's in the very, very early stages of developing a product. So the question that we get asked first is, what is our value chain? So we have a slightly different version of the typical value chain you might see that has to do with the sector or a region. Our value chain focuses on the product. So the product that the company is proposing is the core of this process. We have an upstream side and a downstream side, where we look at the different elements that go into making the product and how the product impacts beyond itself, beyond the company. For the guts of this process, we focus on the market side. So that's the product, its applications, who the end users might be, and the societal challenges that it addresses. And we go through this in a systematic manner. So the first stage of the process is to define the product. What is the product? And typically, as I said, this is for a very early stage, so it's not always very well defined. So we have a number of exercises that we like to go through with the company to help them explain to us what the product is. So a very clear understanding of what specifically the product is in terms of its unique selling points, its technology readiness levels, etc. Where does it fit within the company? And we use another tool to help them describe to us where it fits within the sector as a whole, within the system. We look at the parts that would need to be in place surrounding the product, to outside of the company to help it exist. And this is a very deep conversation that we have with them, so it's always protected by non-disclosure. And we get a really good sense of how the product works and how it's unique. So once we have a decent understanding of the product, we start expanding out this value chain that we've described before, this technical value chain. Again, centered on the product, and initially we go on the market side because the companies are comfortable talking about the market side. Who can they sell it to? So we define elements at each step along the way. We define our product as simply as we can. We define its applications, what the end user product might be. So for a photonics company, oftentimes this is the format. And then what societal challenge that end user product will address. And we do this with multiple applications, with multiple end user products, multiple societal challenges. And as we go through the process, we score each of these elements to try and identify the most successful and the most likely to succeed application of the product. So I did one of these for LiDAR in automotive, and we found that there was a whole bunch of different applications and end user products and societal challenges that it might address, honed it down to a central list of key targets for the sector that we were looking at, so LiDAR. And the next thing that we do, once we've identified this value chain, is we start looking for the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? Who are going to be involved in these different stages? So because our analysis, it's a finite length of time, it's impossible to look at the whole market, so we want to hone in on the relevant section of the market. And to do that, we use use cluster organizations as sources for relevant companies. So by working with the company to identify all these stages of their value chain, they'll tell us what regions and what sectors they want to be involved in. You can find plenty of cluster organizations within these regions, and these are really curated lists of companies that will be in that space. So we extract companies from clusters. You can not confine to clusters. You can go to different industry organizations, regional development organizations that would have lists of relevant companies, and we create this relevant subsection of the target market and region. And these form the core of a custom search engine. So Google have this wonderful free feature, custom search engines. You build a search engine based on the companies you've identified as potential stakeholders based on their region and their sector. And you can enter all your value chain keywords, which you've developed in the first part, into your custom search engine to try and identify relevant stakeholders. So you do this quite a bit, and you might come up with a hit. So I have entered my search term into my custom search engine, and now you just have to decide whether they're a stakeholder or not. And to decide if they're a stakeholder, you determine a value proposition. So you can, at this point, your deep understanding of the product, my deep understanding of the product, allows me to create a value proposition for the stakeholder. And then they join our list of stakeholders. So once you've identified a stakeholder, you've got to score them. And how do you score them? How to put numbers on this? So we've come up with a series of questions that we ask. They have to be general because we don't really know a lot about the stakeholder. But so we ask, are they in a related activity? Are they conflicted? Things like this. We score them based on the answers that we get to these questions. We look at their TRL. We have a best estimate of what the TRL of the stakeholder using your product might be. We have another series of questions based on what we call the innovation potential. This is a methodology that we developed in Goldman to try and identify the products that are going to be most successful. So we look at things like, is this technology suddenly possible? Is it desperately needed? These are core questions that we have to answer about the potential stakeholder. And along the way, we're adding scores here. We're adding 1s and 0s and 2s and 3s, and we compile a list of stakeholders who are all scored, and they all derive from the different categories, the application, the end user product, etc. And we can sort them and find the highest ranking stakeholders, and we put them back into a system model where we look at the total system that will be surrounding our product. So this is a visual representation that we use to help us identify the parts that are essential throughout the ecosystem for our new product to be successful. And this allows you to identify gaps and allows you to identify means to fill these gaps. And also, when we delve a bit deeper into methodology, this system model, it lets you target the areas for really good economic reward from your product if you have a well-developed system model. So what you end up with in the end is you end up with a list of companies that you hand over to the people you're working with. And they're scored and they can be ranked by the individual stakeholder or ranked by the sector that they're derived from. And what it really is we're not helping them to find the most relevant stakeholder. We're trying to help them to understand this methodology. So it's a coaching process, so that then they can go back and start at the beginning again themselves. And so using this kind of high level, take one good step back before you begin your process, and implementing it then along the pathway as you're developing your product, it lets the company be more specific and more targeted, and hopefully more likely to succeed and get past that valley of death. So that's the system briefly, and I will take questions now.
Start Go ahead. I'm curious about something. How much time would you need for a reasonably complicated SME to make this work? I mean, is it a question of a week?
It's about 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
About 2 weeks, yeah. So generally it involves, step one is define product concept. So that will be a meeting with the companies to explore with them. Oftentimes you have to tease it out of them because they're very tight-lipped about their new product, but a non-disclosure agreement helps. And that may be half a day. So they explain their process and really give a good insight into what they do and where they're going. And then you have a fairly good understanding of the product, and you'd agree that. The second stage then is to identify the stakeholders. So you've identified your product, your value chain from product to societal challenge, elaborate, and then the real guts of it is in identifying the stakeholders. So building these custom search engines, it's involved process, but maybe 3 or 4 days of building and then another 3 to 4 days of search of the store. And you can really streamline it. But it's not about me getting better, but it's me teaching. So there'll be a lot of time spent with the company explaining each step as we go. So this system was developed in a project called Respice SME that Photonics Speaking is also part of. And we're carrying it forward with an Interreg Atlantic Area project called Atlantic KETNet, where we're trying to help companies that are incorporating KETs into medical devices. And we'll be doing 25 of these with companies throughout the region for free, and hopefully refining the process and developing. So I encourage you to contact me if you're interested in learning more about this process. And this is because it was H2020 funded. This information is in public domain. So happy to guide you along.
And this is an example of service that Photonics clusters can provide, but of course, I mean, this is very complex. I think, for example, us from Photonics Sweden, we would require at least 1 week or more of education from them to then be able to provide it properly. In this project with Respice SME, we have only started that, I would say. Yeah, by the time the project ends, we just got this methodology to a point where we use it. We did this for 5 case studies, and we use it in the university internally. And I don't mind telling you that it's been very helpful internally for assessing research projects. We've received funding, and they've specifically mentioned the value chain analysis as being one of the reasons that they funded our research project. So it does work, and yeah. So contact Pierre or myself or somebody if you want to find out more.
Have you got any statistics on the success rate? I mean, you said.
Well, we've done 5.
You've done 5.
We've done 5, yeah. But internally, we've done 3 or 4 more extra. And the statistics on 8 or 9.
Okay, so you haven't got any examples.
Well, we're going to be doing 25 of these. So by the time this next project finishes, we'll have a much better description of our success rate.
But do I understand right? I mean, this short list that you're creating of potential customers or stakeholders, is that to increase, I mean, to sort out the stakeholders that would give you the highest likelihood of success?
Yeah, so it goes back to this tree structure here, where you have a product and you have potential application of it. And we're accumulating scores along this value chain, and we can compile them back to see which application has the highest average score, or maybe it's not the highest average score, it's the smallest number of other stakeholders that you're looking for. You're looking for a niche, perhaps, that you can target.
It would be very interesting to sort of, I mean, there is this famous quote of Stephen Blank, there is no business plan that has survived the first customer meeting. And I mean, the real data is actually when you actually start talking to the customers or the stakeholders. Mm-hmm. But I think it's a very interesting tool because you get this short list of who you should actually prioritize instead of just sort of shooting with the shotgun.
Well, that's like the very first thing that they'll do is go through the list of companies that you provided, and oftentimes the response is, where'd you find these guys? I've never heard of these. We've been in this space for 20 years. We never saw these, but these are the first people that they contact. This the initial sales pitches to who we've identified as.
So this analysis saves a lot of time.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And really, because we have a regional and sector focus, you're trying to align yourself best with the region or the sector that has the highest potential field. So in Ireland, this is a problem because there's no real market locally, so we're always looking abroad for the markets. So it's important that we have a regional focus on this. And I think that's generally true. Anecdotally, I went into to do this with one company, and they said, well, the whole world is our region. We don't want to confine it down. By the time we'd finished the conversation, they were saying, okay, so maybe we'll look at where Ryanair flies to cheaply. So they really were trying to figure out how to maximize the economy at the start, which was good. Yeah, like I said, it's still early stages for this process, and it is kind of academic and it will change. But yeah, I welcome your discussion, questions about it.
Sorry, just curious again, where has this sort of process evolved from? I mean, you said you worked for the laser center.
Yeah,
what's
so
the connection?
we work with companies in the laser center, and we see how they're struggling to compete. So we joined some of these H2020 projects, A-Spice and U-Spice SME, which were about supporting photonics companies. And this evolved from three core parts: the innovation potential, which I didn't go into too much detail, the technology readiness levels, and stakeholder mapping. And when we tried to figure out a system, and we worked with companies to identify that system, this methodology is what fell. And because we're in the School of Physics, we want numbers and everything, so we work hard to identify the key questions that need to be answered to give the thing a score. So I imagine that as we progress, we might add and subtract bits and pieces, but the core methodology will remain the same.
Do you do anything specific for medtech? Because quite often devices fail because they don't fit clinicians' needs, even though actually you think there's value in it. And then even when you've got that, selling into healthcare is quite tricky. You quite often be selling into sort of national organisation and things like that, the normal market.
Well, so this was developed with photonics companies in mind, but it's not specific to photonics companies. I think this in general, this could be applied across the region. So specifically for medtech, we haven't done anything unique, but this project that I'm just started now, it's Atlantic HeckMed. This is going to be working exclusively with medical device companies. And by the end of next year, we'll have 25 of these done across Europe. And hopefully that will help us to refine again.
Some statistics. Okay. Thank you again.